Reality therapist perception.
Bachelorette. Hello and welcome back to Reactivity TV, which is a weekly podcast where we share our therapist perspectives on what's going on in all the trending shows that you are currently watching. And this week we are giving our therapist perspective, our therapist take on the series finale of Succession. Oh my goodness. I'm still in my feelings.
What are those feelings?
Oh gosh, I feel like I'm sad, but also I feel satisfied. I feel angry. I feel everything. I feel frustrated. I mean, all of it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think like it ended like the way it needed to end, which was the satisfying part. I totally agree. And yet it's upsetting because just in the same way that the show was upsetting the entire time. So it's good that they didn't totally, flip it on us and make everybody live happily ever after.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have been realistic.
No.
To any of these characters. So.
No. And yet there was a point in the episode where I was rooting so hard for Kendall or for, the siblings.
The three of them. Yeah.
But God, that show is so freaking well made because like it like fostered a sense of hope in something that shouldn't have been and couldn't have been.
Yeah.
And you just get disappointed.
It's funny because I don't know if you get this feeling, but like when I'm watching a movie or a show that I've already seen and I know something bad is going to happen, I still get like that feeling like, well, maybe it won't happen this time. Maybe it'll be okay. Maybe like there was a rerun of Castaway on over the weekend and I was watching some of it and the plane crash was about to happen in the beginning. And I was like, no, but like maybe this time it'll be different.
I know.
Yeah, I totally felt that during this episode too.
Gosh. Yeah, that was going to be my question for you. If you felt like the ending, you got the ending that you wanted.
It's not what I wanted, but it's what needed to be. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think I feel the same way. I feel, like I said, it's satisfying. Like I don't think it could have happened any other way and it be believable, like to the storyline, to the characters, to what the show's about. Yeah, I mean, like while there was that like optimistic part of me that wanted it to end with like the Roys like in power, I just like knew it couldn't happen. I just was so frustrated that I wanted it to, like that there was that period of hopefulness and then just like the crushing disappointment. So, yeah. So I don't even know how to structure this conversation. I mean, I know we usually talk about kind of moments that stuck out for us. Is that how you want to get into this?
I mean, I definitely have moments that kind of get, I don't want to say like tied up at the end, but like aren't just in those particular moments. So they just really, they're representative of the character as a whole, but also how it ends. I don't know. How about you?
Yeah, I definitely have moments too. I guess I was kind of thinking about each of the fate of each of kind of the main characters and thinking about that, like thinking about who has an opportunity for a quote unquote happy ending. So I've been thinking about that a lot. Like I've been thinking about their endings and like in the context of what we saw as well and what we learned about the characters too. So I don't know. What did stick out to you?
Well, I'll just point out something earlier in the episode in case you wanted to go chronological, but something earlier in the episode when Shiv was on the plane to go see Roman, get Roman, agenda seemingly unclear. Like, does she really care about her brother or does she really want him to get on Madison's team? I don't know. So her conversation with Tom on the phone, this was like a shocking Shiv moment for me. I was like, I mean, that over the past few weeks, I've just been like, oh my God, she's really surprising me. And this is great. And this was one of those moments where I felt like she was so vulnerable with him and in asking him if he really wanted to give this a shot. And that's how I felt in the moment anyway. That's like what I was getting from her. Like, this is vulnerable and this is real. And she even says like, can we like say, be real here? But I'm not sure. I don't know if I entirely buy it or if like that was all part of, the scheme, or like that was just all part of, okay, every person in my life is shutting me out right now. What else can I grab at? Like I'm losing straws here. So I don't know if it was really more of like a survival tactic than anything. Even so, it came off very vulnerable and honest, and that made me really happy in the moment.
Yeah, I had that similar sense of appreciation for Shiv. Like, that's like one of our biggest criticisms about her, is that she just isn't vulnerable at all, and she shuts down or like runs away when faced with emotion. And so it was kind of satisfying in that sense to hear her say this, because I feel like that is that is a really common reason that people do lock people out, is that they're worried about, how other people might feel about them or think about them if they really knew them. Like, I felt like that was such an honest thing for her to say, and that I've heard so many people say. But to your point, like, I think Shiv is just not one to be trusted. She's always calculating. There's always a move. And we saw that in the previous episode with her doing the eulogy. Like, I think it's double, like, two-sided always with her. Like, I think that was a moment of, there's always an agenda. Yes. Like, and there's some truth to it too. Like, there is a vulnerability and it's a move. And so I see that with her. And I don't know, we see Shiv, I don't know. I don't even know how to say. I was going to say she misplays her hand yet again. But one thing that I also noticed with Shiv, as we're on Shiv, is it reminded me of our Wishing You Well episode on gossip, when Shiv was talking to Mattson about Tom and basically talking shit about her husband, but like, what else is new? And just the way that she was talking about, again, her husband to this, CEO, made me think. And I was with my husband while watching this. We're both like, this is such a move that indicates a lack of loyalty and a lack of trustworthiness. That when you talk negatively and talk shit about someone, then who's to think that you're not going to do that to them? Like, and so I feel like that was one of the kind of like chinks in the chain for Mattson, and kind of watching the way that Shiv moved and behaved, that she is definitely not someone to be trusted. And he was right.
Yeah. Wow. And then obviously with that scene between Tom and Mattson, when, I mean, Tom just keeps his mouth shut when Madsen's talking about how he's going to kick Shiv out just because, maybe he wants to get in her pants later on. And obviously that's not the only reason, but he tests Tom there. He tests his loyalty there. He tests to see if Tom's going to be Team Shiv here and play the husband, or if he's willing to give it all up. And he is.
Mm-hmm. Tom is a loyal dog. Like, he is. And I think, and yeah, you're right. That was a test. And he passed, obviously. And similarly, in the previous episode, where I know we talked about this last week, that I said, Tom is a lot like Logan, or most like Logan, that Mattson definitely clocked the fact that Tom is not at this funeral. Like, rubbing elbows with all these powerful people. Like he's at work. Again, that loyalty flag. And that's exactly what Mattson needed is someone that he can absolutely trust. And wildly, it's Tom, who's like also very conniving and has betrayed people in the past, but all in service of whoever he, I guess, is trying to settle up to.
Yeah. I think you were right in your call.
Yeah.
About him being the most like Logan.
He came out on top. He was the king.
Yeah.
The king of the castle.
Yes. And okay, so speaking of being king, or who we thought was going to be king, that scene with the siblings in the kitchen, that just made me so happy. It was maybe my favorite scene in the whole show. I
had tears in my eyes watching it. It was beautiful. It was so childlike and playful, and I loved it so much.
Yeah. And another reason where we probably gathered up some of that hope, and we're thinking like, okay, wow, maybe this time, maybe it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. I think I was watching with my husband too. And I turned to him, I was like, okay, so there's no other reason like they should betray each other now, right? Like, this is going to be okay.
No. Yeah. Yes, that was such a beautiful moment. And like, just, yeah, that joyfulness, that playfulness, it felt like this wedge that has been between them for years, like with having that removed, with having it just be, okay, Kendall, it's you, we anoint you, removing that source of tension. Like, wow. Like how
it allowed them to be siblings. It allowed them to be kids when, like, have they ever been kids? I don't know. Mm-hmm. I mean, the scene was so well drawn out, and like their mom came down and said, be quiet. Like, it was literally like they were three children playing pretend in the kitchen and eating all the food, making gross concoctions. And yeah, you're right. It was like they just had this weight off their shoulders. Like, all right, we finally are okay with what's going to happen.
Right. And it also speaks to, I mean, Kendall, they even reference it on the doc, like happy Ken. Like, we never see Kendall happy. And so we learn so much about how much this means to Kendall to finally have this thing that he's been promised since he was a little boy, and to have it bestowed on him and get the kind of approval of his siblings, like how happy that made him, and how he was willing to do whatever he needed to do, drinking that disgusting concoction in order to make it be so. Like, you just saw like its meaning, like to him too, just how much it meant to his identity, his happiness. Like, it's almost as though like every sacrifice he made it worth it in that moment for him. Sad.
So sad.
What do you think happened? How did they go from that like beautiful moment in the kitchen to the moments in the boardroom and the little kind of like side meeting room?
You know, it's hard to tell. To me anyway. I was actually really nervous when that dinner with Logan was being shown in that room. And I was like, oh no, is he going to say something about one of the kids? Is he going to say something bad about Kendall? And then they're going to second guess it because dad's word is the word. And that's all that matters. Like, I was like, can we shut this off? Or like, can we just make sure that he doesn't screw this all up? But at the same time, that looked like it was a moment where the three of them again, like actually not again, the three of them started to grieve together in a way that maybe we hadn't seen before, where they were all in tears. They were all snuggled up. They were sitting there watching it together. And so I didn't see it in that way then. But then again, it could have been some sort of like aftershock of dad again. Like, oh, there he was. And oh yeah, remember all the times he didn't want Kendall. And remember all of these things that went wrong. And so I don't know if that played into it, or just like I was saying before with Shiv and just trying to grab at whatever she could, because she was seemingly losing it all. And this was a way for her to get some of the power back if she gets to make this decision, even though it potentially means nothing for her. Nothing, especially if Tom doesn't, take her back or want her or whatever. But it was a move. And I think Roman really feeds off of everybody. He was so easily warmed up to his siblings once they warmed up. And then as soon as it flipped, he's like, all right, shit's hit the fan. I'm back. I'm back into little brother pestering everybody mode, that they just fell back so easily into that pattern.
Yeah. Yeah, they really did.
Yeah.
They really did. I think when Kendall sat in Logan's chair and then he put his feet up on Logan's desk, that for me, that was like when I saw it turn for both of them, for Roman and for Shiv. I think that is one of the stomach turning moments that Shiv is referring to. And I think for Roman, seeing Kendall take the position of inflicting harm and kind of abuse and love all at once was also a moment where I think, again, it turned for both of them. And I think because Roman is kind of a kicked puppy dog and will kind of like do whatever like makes the person in charge happy or like not as angry, that's why he's so kind of easygoing in terms of like keeping the peace in a way, in his Roman way, where Shiv is a little bit more brazen. And I think she has ambition that's really different than Roman's too, which causes her to like take this stand and take the power back, as you're saying.
Well, and I mean, you and I know, like when we're working with clients, and like if we're in any one of our clients are a part of a family system, whether we're working with the family or not. And we know that like when something new is established, there's going to be kind of these hiccups or these moments of like relapse where a family just gets back into what they're used to. And it's not until this new way of doing things, this new way of interacting gets truly established and practiced that it becomes the new norm.
Right.
And they didn't have that chance here. They didn't have that chance to make this the new them, the new trio. But then it just all fell apart.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, speaking of family systems and dynamics that change or stay the same, we saw a major dynamic shift in Shiv and Tom's relationship, where Tom is now the dominant person. He's got the power, and Shiv is the wife.
Yep.
And I don't know. We'll see how I guess we won't see how it goes, but we can. I mean, my feeling about the way, like their hands, like how they, like that was like, whoa, this is so well done. But I think Shiv is still believing that she can manipulate Tom, like she can be the puppet master, the puppeteer to Tom. That's why she went, right? Or no?
I think so. I absolutely agree. I think like if we were to see this play out, that's what we would see. And yeah, the hand the gesture of him putting it there and the way that she decided to put her hand in his hand said that in a nutshell. She's the powerful, powerless one.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And well, I mean, knowing Shiv, this will absolutely blow up in her face. Like that is the story of her arc, or rather her cycle is, I think I know better than everyone. It blows up in my face. I need my family. And then I think I know better than everyone, so on and so forth. And so again, we won't see what happens, but like there was also a lot of chatter like on social media about how, you know, Shiv's kind of worst fear came true in that she was kind of just relegated to being a wife and a mother and the wife of a powerful CEO. She has like fulfilled this journey of becoming her mother.
So Shakespearean.
And I can't imagine that she will have a happy ending, that Kendall will have a happy ending. I think the only character that has an opportunity to have a happy ending is Roman.
Mm-hmm. No, I think so too. I mean, there's a part of me that sees how, okay, the show ended the way that it started with Kendall on the bottom. Mm-hmm. And no, there's not like this continued race to still figure out, like, can I fill my dad's shoes? Can I be the CEO? Like that's really over, where before it wasn't over. But we've seen Kendall get back up on his feet so many times that I'd like to have some faith in him being able to do that still. And I don't know what way that would be, not in the way that you and I would love to see him like maybe go be a good father. That would be great. But I see him figuring something out that comes in second to him in some way. I don't think he'll ever be like completely fulfilled in the way that he thought that he would when he was going to be crowned. But I do think that he's not. I don't think he's going to jump in the Hudson River. Like it looked like, oh, are we walking over there? Nope. We're just going to take a step back and sit over here.
Yeah. I was really worried about that happening. I don't know. I'm not as optimistic about Kendall's future. Again, he's given away like his morality, his marriage, his kids, he has basically no relationship now with his siblings. Who knows what that will look like? I mean, his life's purpose is gone. Like it is, if I were his therapist, I'd be really concerned about risk of harm to self and making, whether it's impulsive decisions now or just really wanting him to get some solid support. He's got nobody except his, bodyguard, essentially.
But yes, I'd be concerned too. I also think that these siblings are not going to be siblings going forward. Because I don't think that that's also a part of their regular way of living. Like, I don't think that, I don't know, maybe I'm just being too optimistic. I just think like they kept putting so much to the side to be siblings in these little ways that I just see how maybe they're not going to be siblings, but I see how they're going to be family in some kind of way.
Right. I mean, maybe Kendall becomes like the Ewan of the family. I guess we'll never know.
Yeah.
But
I was really happy for Roman and that this seemed like the biggest relief for him to have this all end.
Yes, I know. Yeah, he had like that little half smirk in the bar. And yeah, I was like, okay, you're going to be okay. in whatever way he can as Roman, but you're going to be okay. Yeah. But wow, the end of an era with this show. Yeah, which has been really nice to kind of recap this final season because it has felt like there's been so much to to digest. And I'll still be thinking about it even after we like end our conversation today.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Perfect show to dissect in a therapy way.
Yes. Yes. So that's all for us for Succession, at least for now. Maybe at another point in our recording, we'll go back and look at some previous episodes, but we will be back with more reactions to other TV shows like Ted Lasso, because that is also wrapping up. Gosh, they are just putting us through some farewells. But we're also interested in knowing what else you're watching and what you want our therapist takes on. So drop us some suggestions in the comments below. So we will see you again soon. We'll be back for more Reactivity TV. Bye.